I'm always interested in changing directions, and I guess I could generalize and just say that is moving on. In this industry, sometimes where you're pigeonholed and you're meant to be one thing, and I mean, I have been labelled over the years as dance Kylie, indie Kylie, sex Kylie, whatever Kylie, the new improved, bigger suds Kylie. Everything's like, well, I'm growing and I'm changing. You can only do so much that you know are the right steps to try and get you up there, and the rest is down to the public, whether they like the song or whether they like you and want to support you.
She is the proverbial chameleon, and for nearly 15 years we've seen Kylie Minogue's image evolve from the bubblegum pop girl next door into the sexy and sultry siren who today is one of the most successful female recording artists ever to come out of Australia. Her philosophy, which over the years has drawn both criticism and admiration, has always been one about change, and combined with her driving ambition, Kylie has guaranteed her seat on the roller coaster ride of stardom.
The whole concept of doing the same thing, which it seems that people expect you to do, is so foreign to me, because I would be bored in an instant, and I certainly wouldn't be here talking to you today because I wouldn't still be making records if I hadn't made the changes that I have in the past few years.
To look back through the years, it's evident that Kylie has always been about shedding her skin and embracing new directions. Whether each incarnation has been deliberate or not, it's been harnessed as a headline by a hungry media and then elevated into the spotlight of public scrutiny. And each time, Kylie has been summoned to explain.
It always astounds me when people say, "You've changed so much, you know, you're so different." I think, well, of course, it's been a long time. I have to do a lot of explaining because people, like, they need to have a reason or an explanation for all the changes and why do you keep having image changes, and how do you explain its latest, you know, style of music or whatever. And I'm constantly baffled that I have to keep finding a way to explain it. To me, it makes no sense to just choose one of those, to choose one facet of your personality.
Just in regards to the video for She Did It Again, so many different images of Kylie. Which one is going to win in the end? Is it going to be indie Kylie? Is it going to be dance Kylie? Musically and
I think cute Kylie.
Cute Kylie.
Cute Kylie's kind of the sneakiest one, I think, out of those.
In more recent times, it appears that Kylie has found her comfort zone. Encouraged by major recording and touring success, she can now safely revisit the past with a giggle rather than a gasp.
There was a time where I was terribly, terribly embarrassed of my early days. But, you know, I think now I'm far enough removed from it that I can be quite fond of it and even quite proud of it, that
I thought that was
that
great
I made it through.
personally.
Yeah, and like, well, for someone like Nick to say that
Absolutely.
he loves some of those old songs, it's like, well, okay, maybe they were. I guess they were fantastic times. I had a lot of success, but it just took me. I had to step out of that area to be able to look at it objectively and appreciate it more.
That appreciation begins more than a decade ago. In the mid-80s, Kylie was already a household name as a soap star, and her career became a magic carpet ride as she flew to London to venture into the world of recording. The story continues. Success, relationships, more albums, and a couple of homecomings which solidified her iconic status. Kylie's resume is impressive, and as we'll see, her determination is just as formidable.
There's a show called The Top 8 at 8 in Australia where listeners ring in. So I was listening, and the countdown went 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and the closer it got to 1, I was just thinking, no, well, it's not in there. And it was number 1, and I just remember being with my mum, and we were in the kitchen. To be precise, I was sitting on the heater. We just went crazy. Wow, oh my God, you know, just to hear it on the radio for the first time, especially when I just had given up all hope and thought, nah, it's not going to be on there. So that was a thrill.
Having worked as an actress most of her teen life, Kylie's chance at a recording career was triggered by a performance at a 1987 benefit dinner from Melbourne Football Club. She sang Locomotion and then, with the help of friends, made a demo, which ended up on the desk of Mushroom Records supremo Michael Gudinski.
The guy rang me up from Channel 10 who used to be involved in a couple of music shows, and he said to me, I got this girl out of Neighbours and we want to come and play it to you. I mean, I hadn't even heard of the show, to be honest with you, much, and didn't know much about it. And he came in and it was the Locomotion already. And it sounded okay, but I mean, to me at the time, I mean, Mushroom was a serious rock label, and it wasn't the sort of thing that you'd expect us to sign or go anywhere near. And really, we thought it was interesting and we just let it go. And a month or two later, I was in England, and my niece and nephew said to me, do you know anything about this Neighbours show? I said, well, it's a strange show. And somebody sent me a tape of a girl, and my niece goes, Charlene. I don't know, I think that's the name of the show, I don't know. And they made it so clear to me how big the show was in England. And that night I got on the phone from England and I said, you know that tape we heard? Let's sign her.
Well, I think I had a very normal childhood. Grew up in Melbourne, actually out in the suburbs of Melbourne, and kept moving in closer and closer towards the city with my mum, dad, my brother and sister. And my parents are pretty unimpressed with the whole, like, all the sparkly side of what I do. They really don't care as long as myself and my brother and sister are happy and healthy and taking care of ourselves. So, yeah, family value.
It was purely because we felt that we tried so much to break England with so many great Australian rock bands, it was like taking Coles to Newcastle. And I thought, I'll be buggered. This thing is so big over here. Perhaps there's a way. And that's honestly how the whole Kylie thing started. And when we started to work with her, she was just so sweet, so innocent, so girl next door. And I must admit, I had no idea that we were dealing with something that might be more than one or two hits and any more than that. But boy, was it a lot more than that.
Kylie was swept up by the tide of success as her Locomotion follow-up, I Should Be So Lucky, hit #1 in Australia. It was the first song written for Kylie by the team of Stock, Aitken and Waterman, the legendary UK hit factory. The story goes that they'd forgotten their meeting with Kylie and wrote the song in 10 minutes as Kylie was waiting in their reception.
Well, a lot of Stock, Aitken, Waterman, a lot of their other acts were #1 or top 5, and I think they just cornered the market in those days. They, for all the flack that they're given as well, they have definitely got their little piece in pop history or chart history. They did very accessible music, which can also be very annoying music for a lot of people, but it was just so successful. They just churned them out. They were on a roll. They didn't stop, and they really did have the power to pick someone off the street, dress them in the right clothes, or what we all thought was the right clothes, get them to sing on a record, and have a hit.
And they agreed to do us a favour and squeeze Kylie in, to the point where Kylie had been in England for 2 weeks and they squeezed her in the studio the day she was leaving. And from there on in, England just became she became a phenomenon there. People in Australia to this day do not realise how big Kylie Minogue was in England. I think to this day one of her albums is in the top 10 selling all-time albums in England. The only person bigger than Kylie Minogue in that original peak period in England was Princess Di. She was phenomenal.
Back in Australia, Kylie was also a princess, and by the end of the 80s had been lauded with television Logie Awards, had a successful singing career, and was embraced by a regiment of fans, some of whom would later turn on her. She also made her first film, The Delinquents, which would later open the way for more features.
That's why you keep putting in that cheap bleach, isn't it?
What did he say?
Girls live for men. for sex. It's their downfall.
I'll try and remember that.
You can't tell me you actually enjoy it.
Actually, I enjoy sex a lot. Love it with Brownie.
Stop talking like that.
Love it when he pulls off his shirt. And then he pulls off mine. I feel all the muscles around his chest and his arms. Then he kisses me. My whole body feels it.
It's quite enough, Lola.
You know what I love the most? I love the way he looks when he's just about to...
Get to your room.
During this time, Kylie became a phenomenon in the UK. Her debut album, Kylie, and her follow-up, Enjoy Yourself, both spawned a string of #1s. Then in 1990 came this release. It was the sign of a new Kylie, and much of it was attributed to her relationship with INXS singer Michael Hutchence. The unlikely coupling had a profound effect on Kylie, who, until now, had been the cute girl next door. Her time with Hutchence is said to have been educational and formative, with some circles of the media interpreting that as discovering the mythical world of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
It was a great plan, wasn't it?
It worked?
No, there was no plan. Look, I think that she just had become so much more worldly, and because of the whole, by this stage, she wasn't just a pop phenomenon in England and Australia, it was happening all over Asia and Europe. But she absolutely idolised Michael Hutchence. He idolised her, and they were fantastic influences on each other. And I've never heard her say a bad word about him to this day.
Kylie was growing up, no longer the girl next door. She was striding forward as a major sensation in the UK, becoming the only act in British pop music history to have her first 13 releases all go top 10. Back home, though, there'd been something of a backlash. Whether it was a success on the charts or the gossip in the tabloids, some of her country folk were no longer bedazzled by the Minogue charm.
The cringe that had to go on in this country about Kylie Minogue was absurd. And why I admire that lady so much, and ironically enough, I think Michael Hutchence and her, when they were going out together, gave her the real guts to go on with this, was that Kylie stood up for herself. And when she stood up for herself and said, look, I'm not just a mimbo, and I can sing, and I can do this, and I am a performer in my own right, that is when Australia had to take up and take notice, God, the shit she had to put up with over that first 2 years. I would not have blamed Kylie if she had not have come back to this country, And I said I attribute some of it to Michael, her friendship and relationship with Michael, and may have given her the strength, but she came back and she was like the true digger. And she dug into the trenches and she came out firing on all fours, And it was fantastic.
If Kylie was fazed by negative press, it certainly didn't show. At the time, she probably had other things on her mind, like dissolving her partnership with Stock, Aitken and Waterman. Now enchanted by London's growing club scene, Kylie was drawn away from pop and more towards dance music. And one of the big movers in this area was Deconstruction, the same record label that represented the likes of M People.
The time that I got involved and the time that things needed to change was when Kylie and Terry, her manager, came to us and said, we don't like this anymore. I don't want to be a puppet anymore. I want to be able to write some of my words. Because this girl had done so much for Mushroom, because she cared so much, she was talking my language. I could now understand what Kylie Minogue was saying. So even though it mostly cost money for Mushroom to undo that situation, we fought through thick and thin to get her out of that situation. And I'm real proud that we did.
With more creative control and independence, Kylie was now ready for her next album, simply called Kylie Minogue, an offering that would startle her fans with its seductive and stylish qualities.
Well, we had other ideas for different titles, and it seemed that each one we came up with was giving a preconceived idea of what to expect, and as it turned out, what we wanted people to see and to hear was just a different side of Kylie Minogue, like the start of a new phase, if you like. And so it was very simple and minimalist, and ended up being the most frighteningly obvious title, Kylie Minogue. The director that I chose, Paul Boyd, was based in LA, and I flew over there, and I loved his concept because it was so different, and it was very important for us with the first video, for the first single off the album, to make an impression. And believe it or not, we did it all in one day, and I was completely shattered by the end of it. And it was great to do, just to have 6 different characters that was like picking up different pieces of myself. Nice to have direction in a video where he would say, okay, now I want you to be like, be a little baby doll, you know. Snap, there I am, baby doll. Now I want you to be a vixen. Oh, okay. So it was fun, but as with all videos, I start the day very enthusiastic and awfully friendly to everyone, and aren't we cheery, we've all made it to the video. By the end of the day, I just go home. I'm very pleased with the result. There wasn't really much that went by without there being a discussion between Deconstruction and myself. And it's great, they practically force responsibility upon me, you know, if it comes to time to choosing singles or the choice of songs that went on the album or the album cover itself. Of course I try to find out what they think. They'll ask me and I'm straight away on the phone, oh, so what do you think about the album cover? Which one would you choose? And they say, well, we don't know yet. Of course they do know, but they truly want to know what I think. And so it's great. It makes me, it forces me to take responsibility for my career. I have aspirations aside from this career, as in family, or as in whatever businesses I might be involved in when I get older. But just within singing and acting, there's so many different avenues that you can explore. It kills me when people say, oh, but you've done so much, you've done everything, what more is there to do? Are you kidding? Every new film you do, like coming off Street Fighter, I learned martial arts, I worked with some amazing people, just experiences that I would never have had otherwise. They know we're coming. Darling, basic black's not really you.
You'll have to do better than that.
Initially, I was told I'd been offered the part in the Jean-Claude Van Damme film, and then they came back saying, actually, $43 million budget, Raul Julia, Wes Studi, Ming-Na Wen. So it might not be just the story or just the character, but having the opportunity to work with different people. Mr. Bill Fraker, the DOP, who's been nominated for 7 Academy Awards, that's working with old Hollywood. I mean, you think, my God, this man has so much experience. And I was almost in awe. I'm thinking, oh God, I hope, I hope I can impress him in some small way.
See you tonight, TT. Hey, is there any format or anything you want me to follow?
Just do your own thing. You know what TT can be like.
No. What's he like?
Intense. Good luck with the show, babe.
See ya.
It's great if people can see me doing something different, and perhaps they've finally become used to the notion that you can do different things. And I realized that you can't take away the pigeonhole thing that people have to label you as something.
Sure.
But what I've managed to do is just push my my walls quietly, make them, my space to play in a little bit bigger.
One of the more surprising moments of Kylie's career was her duet with fellow Australian musician Nick Cave. Known for his brooding ballads, Cave penned Where the Wild Roses Grow for Kylie and raised a few eyebrows, but also gave Kylie a newfound credibility.
It was just something that was quite personal and sort of a private little thing to do in a way. Sort of satisfying a kind of long-standing obsession that I've had with Kylie for many years, and now it's become a kind of public thing, and it's all a little bit embarrassing, really.
Yeah. It was very nice and easy in the studio,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
was,
And now it's a hit single.
The image of her lying dead in a pool was a rather macabre vision, and perhaps symbolised that the Kylie from 1987 was dead and gone, and in a place, a cooler, more sophisticated Kylie. A proposition reinforced by her 1996 appearance at Australia's biggest music festival, The Big Day Out. And while audiences at the Big Day Out were being served up their share of Kylie, her dance and disco beats had also become the anthems of the gay community, who invited her to perform at the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras. Kylie's course was about to change again, and it would be heralded by a new facet of her career, something which many of her Australian fans would never have expected.
I got off a flight from LA, and a kind stewardess took care of me, and happened to be a football team on my flight as well, so she said, "Would you like to wait in this room?" I was like, okay. And she said she had tried to get tickets for the show and it was sold out, which was the first that I'd heard of it, because it all happened whilst I was on that flight. And called my mother to let her know I was safely in Australia, and she said she saw on the news that, you know, there was this great response and people were camping out. So that's how I found out about it, and I was just blown away, absolutely thrilled.
By the late 90s, Kylie was certainly back in favour. After some volatile relationships, the death of former boyfriend Michael Hutchins, and some time off, Kylie released the Impossible Princess CD, which had to be renamed in the UK due to the death of Princess Diana. It wasn't as big as previous releases, but it did unveil another major aspect of Kylie, her capacity as a live performer.
Never realised, because of her show business upbringing and because of her professionalism, how she would take like a duck to water to performing live. We had to push her a bit in the early days, and she never wanted to do it till she could do it. But to see how each tour has gone in leaps and bounds, she loves going on the road. It's made her the complete performer, and she's one of the great live acts.
That was such a warm reception. I felt like it was my birthday every day.
Yeah.
Like, that was the first time in a long time that I'd had the interaction with an audience, and more specifically my audience. And you can't really argue with that. You can't argue with the energy in a venue when people are having a good time.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about a live performance, is that if you're great, you know about it. But if you're not great, you know about it. You don't have people, it's not like something you do and then afterwards people kind of say, "Oh, you know, that was wonderful, da da da."
Yeah.
They can all lie, you know. Very, very sweet of them, but you're not getting an honest reaction. Whereas people who've paid for their ticket, want to see a good show.
Yeah.
It's the collective energy in a room that if it's just not working, at least you know, and there's that honesty. And I think that's probably what a lot of performers are quite addicted to.
She's just grown. In the 16 years that I've worked with her, she's never raised her voice at me. Like Madonna, every single night of the tour that we did, she went basically straight to bed. She didn't drink any night. She's a professional workaholic that demands that from the people around her. And that's why Kylie Minogue is such a great performer, because she gets the best, brings the best, inspires the best, and keeps reinventing herself. And consequently, she's become an absolute superstar.
10 years ago, it was just a sea of 5-year-olds. And then the next show, the parents maybe, or the big brothers, or whoever had to escort the children, kind of getting a bit interested as the show progressed, and, you know, up to doing Tea in the Park and the Fela Festival in Ireland. It's changed a lot. I'm really pleased that a lot of my audience is around my age. You know, it used to be that they were so much younger. The thing that kills me, and that's a total pleasure, is I get to meet a lot of these people now, and you know, maybe they're early 20s or something, or my age, or a bit older than me, and it has been 10 years that we've had some kind of connection. So, you know, people say the weirdest things. You know, I used to have Kylie earrings, or they've got all these stories that are just amazing. So when I meet these people, it's brilliant, because if I didn't meet them, it's just this cosmic connection that we've had. I just had like a reconnection with my audience when I was on tour last year, and met so many people who would say, oh, I've waited 10 years to meet you, I've waited 8 years, or I've been a fan since I was 7 or something. I just felt that I had such a history with these people, which is absolutely priceless. And I don't know, it just felt like it's time to give something back in a way, or just share more.
Yeah.
Share the feats and the failures and the embarrassment.
Much like Madonna, Kylie also ventured into publishing. The many images of her over the years were assembled for a book which was released in the late 90s.
I'm always so amazed that when I meet people and they say things like that, they will share some really intimate things with me. They'll say, you know, I couldn't have got through this without you, or I remember when I did this and you were always there. And
people have grown up with you now.
Yeah, we've all. Well, I guess that's a reason I can have really, really daggy pictures in there. Is that, okay, it's long enough now, and we all know we've all got those pictures somewhere.
We all do.
It's just that a lot of us can burn them or hide them in a shoebox under the bed forever.
Yeah.
And mine are just out there all the time.
It took Kylie's return to her dance roots to ignite the fire of her fans. The cheeky first single, Spinning Around, was a sensational teaser for the Light Years CD, which once again redefined Kylie Minogue.
The image that I have at the moment is much closer to who I am. But I think now that I'm a little bit older, I'm just a lot more relaxed with it. I am being asked a lot about all the teams in the charts. I would like to think that I bring something else with what I'm doing at the moment. I think the most important thing is that history that I already have with my audience.
Light Years featured some of the most provocative images of Kylie yet, and included collaborations with the likes of British pop icon Robbie Williams.
The trouble with my videos, if there's the tiniest bit of raunch, or they're like a bit racy, that's the whole press angle. That's all they're interested in.
You join us at Shepperton today for the recording of the new duet for Robbie Williams. Robbie Williams and the lovely, delectable Kylie Minogue.
I like to drink it up, but never like to stick it. I like to drink it up, but never like to stick it. I like to drink it up, but never like to
End of the film.
What kind of photographer are you?
But yeah, me and Kylie shooting the video for kids.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a really, really fun day. Let's start now. Stand by for take. 86 the Mook. 86 the Mook. Okay, that's great, boss. Robbie, Kylie, you ready? All right, stand by for rehearsal.
Kylie triumphantly returned to Australia, first for a performance at the Olympics closing ceremony, then with a sellout tour, which was in fact the biggest ever by a female artist. Riding the wave of Light Years, Kylie has released Fever, which includes the enormously successful single Can't Get You Out of My Head. She's also celebrating an ARIA Award for Best Female Artist, and predictions from some music circles are that she will finally break America, something which has eluded Kylie her entire career.
Gosh, I'm sure I'll have my record company pushing to release stuff in the States and for it to do well. But I like going there and they don't know who I am. There's places I've been. I drove across America a few years ago, and amazingly, it just would stupefy me when I met a number of people, and they might kind of look at my face and think somewhere they know me. And if I paid with a credit card, I guess it's just not, it's not a familiar name. And people would say, oh my God, oh, no, wait, no, don't tell me. God, I know, I was in college, and you're the Locomotion girl. And I'd say, well, yes, but I've actually done a lot since then. And I'd be happy to send you. Like, no, there's more. So I just can't believe that, you know, after all that time, they still remember the Locomotion.